Mark my words, we're going to melt that fox.
Sonic Prime has finally reached its conclusion. We've seen Sonic and company go on some action-packed adventures throughout the different Scatterspaces, and it all comes to head in the epic 7-episode final battle. Pirates will reform, robots will discover friendship, and best of all, Shadow will finally get more than 5 minutes of screen time in a season. So with the characters' arcs coming full circle, it's time to see where they all land on the morality spectrum. I'm Kyle with Wicked Binge, and this is Sonic Prime Season 3 Characters, Good to Evil. As usual, we'll be starting with the good section. And while the most good character is still as blatantly obvious as ever after 3 seasons, we're actually gonna let the gold medal of good be shared between Sonic the Hedgehog and Shadow the Hedgehog. Sonic needs no introduction by this point. Whether friend or foe, he strives to save anyone and everyone he can throughout his journey. Even after 9 spending the better part of 6 episodes trying to kill Sonic and all his friends, Sonic still wants to get through to him so they can remain friends.
I've been trying to tell you that we are friends.
And at the end, he's willing to sacrifice himself to bring Green Hill back, alongside the other worlds that 9 destroyed. But while Sonic is pretty much objectively the most heroic of the good guys, we feel that Shadow deserves every bit as much credit. Although he's a more gray area type in most media, Shadow proves himself as a true hero in this series. Despite not particularly liking Sonic, he saves his life multiple times and fights alongside him against 9 and his grim robot army. It's actually thanks to Shadow that Sonic was able to return to Green Hill at all, since he couldn't even move on his own after the aforementioned sacrifice. The last time we see him, he warps the Paradox Prism away to an unknown location.
I am the ultimate life form. I go wherever I want.
Which means nobody will be able to use its deadly power again, whether accidentally or on purpose. These two played an equal part in saving the world, and while neither of them are perfect, they both remain consistently heroic throughout the story. Our runner-up position has to go to Tails, Knuckles, Amy, and Rouge. The Green Hill versions, of course. There isn't really much to say about these guys since we only see them in the first and final episodes of the series. But if anything, that makes their decency all the more obvious. They've helped Sonic save the world time and time again, and are patient with him despite his struggle to listen.
What a surprise.
But let's talk about everyone's favorite Sonic character. The bronze medal of good has to go to every version of Big the Cat, and Froggy, of course. It seems like every video game series needs at least one character who can be described as the big silly guy, and Sonic is no exception. Like most characters, Big the Cat has many different variations over the course of the series. These include Hangry the Scavenger, Catfish the Pirate, Denizen 1998 of New York City, and of course the original form back in Green Hill. The reason we're placing them here is simple. Big is the most consistent character in terms of morality throughout the Shadowverses. He doesn't prefer to fight, but he's willing to throw some punches and belly flops around to protect his friends. Even in New York City, he's one of few citizens brave enough to join the rebellion with Rouge and Nux, and all of his iterations help in the fight against 9. Among the highlights was Catfish taking a huge hit to save Sonic's life, making the ultimate sacrifice by getting hit so hard he becomes British.
But who is this Catfish you speak of?
Speaking of which, up next we have Rebel Rouge and Renegade Nux. These two are the heads of the rebellion against the Chaos Council's oppressive reign in New York. The two care deeply for their home and will fight anyone who threatens it, hoping to make life better for their fellow citizens. In this final season, we see both of their best attributes on full display. Nux is a brave fighter, and although he easily butts heads with others around him, it's all for the greater good of the world he's fighting to protect.
That's more like it. You're finally making a dent in this thing.
As for Rouge, she's an excellent organizer and helps Sonic come up with a plan of attack against 9 during the final battle. There are more fighters on the side of good than ever before in this season, but these two are among the most consistent, so we're ranking them a bit higher. Now on to the Boss Cage Maze crew: Gnarly, Prim, Mangy, and Thorn Rose. We've already talked briefly about Hangry, but the other scavengers are good people too. While they were enemies at first, they're now fully able to work together for the greater good. Whereas Thorn wants to protect the forest, the others just want to survive in their difficult times. The past is the past, and thankfully everything is good between them now. They contribute greatly to saving the universe from Nine's rampage. Most notable, perhaps, was Thorn giving Sonic a ride with Birdie back to Green Hill, for as far as they were able to go, with Birdie even taking a pretty big hit to one of her wings in the process. It's a pirate's life for our next entry. Now we've got Sails, Black Rose, and Batten. Despite the tumultuous nature of their crew, these three have consistently stuck together through thick and thin. We've already talked about Catfish protecting Sonic at one point, but there was also the matter of Sails working together with their new buddy Mangy to take control of some of Nine's robots and use them against him, not to mention Black Rose being the one to finally call out her former captain on his crummy behavior, and rightfully earning the captain's hat as a result.
I'll be your captain, former captain.
Now, before we move into our gray area, we've got a couple of redeemed adversaries to talk about, starting with Rusty Rose. After being abandoned by the Chaos Council she loyally served in Season 2, Rusty redirected her loyalty to Dread's pirate crew.
I will join your crew.
That didn't change throughout the season. She constantly fights alongside them, as well as Sonic and the other members of the Shatterverse. Now ye best prepare yourself for the final entry in this area. It'd be the dreaded former Captain Dread Knuckles. Dread was not the first character we were betting on to end up in the good section. Even if he was fighting against Nine, he still abandoned his crew plenty of times for the sake of treasure and showed little remorse for it. But thankfully, we see a huge turnaround from him in this season. On multiple occasions, he shows himself to have a renewed care for his crew. He rushes to Sonic's side to help him when Catfish is knocked out and shows sincere concern for him. And while he's momentarily tempted to follow Jack's lead and abandon the others for the sake of treasure, he ends up going back to help Black Rose in a bind, saving her life in the process.
Put in your blowholes and drive them back!
What really cements his placement in the good is his act of humility, handing the captain's hat over to Black Rose in a sign of admission that she deserves it more, and as proof that he's truly changed for the better. He's dreaded in name only. This former captain is a loyal, changed friend to his crew, and we've got to respect that. We hold a bit less respect for these next couple of characters though. This is the gray area. It's a pretty short category, and we're starting off with Jack. Jack is the captain of Dread Knuckles' former crew, and to his credit, he does help to fight against Nine with the others. At first glance, it might seem that he wasn't really worth mentioning here, save for the slightly interesting tidbit that he's voiced by the popular gaming YouTuber Jacksepticeye. But we needed someone to pad out the gray area, and Jack is the one who suggests to Dread Knuckles to abandon the other heroes to go take himself a new treasure. That way the two of them could live in wealth and luxury. We're sure the stress of the fight was getting to Jack, but that's no excuse to essentially throw everyone else to the curb for the sake of a shiny rock. Hopefully he's able to turn his own life around one day like his old friend did. And rounding out our gray area is the team of Nine's robots. Nine makes clones of all Sonic's friends to fight against him in the final battle. Similar to Chaos Sonic from the previous season, they're all built to help Nine defeat the good guys and allow the Paradox Crystal to be used to make his ideal paradise. While that would seem to make them deserving of a place in the bad to evil section, it's worth noting that they're just robots who are built to serve their master. And with that said, it's time for us to dive into our final category. These characters are the bad and the evil. The bronze medal of evil has to go to Nine, the main antagonist of the season. Now, before you get mad, hear us out. Nine gets some points for his ultimate redemption in giving up on his plan. He didn't mean for the destruction he caused to the universe to happen. The guy was just hurt by what he saw as Sonic's selfishness, supposedly using him to get what he wanted. The relationship between the two seems to have been healed by the end, and all is well with the universe too.
Now hurry. That gateway won't be there forever.
That being said, are we just gonna ignore the fact that this man is a total hypocrite? Oh Sonic, how dare you use me while I'm trying to use you to make a new world for the two of us to enjoy? If that weren't bad enough, he endangers countless lives, not just of the aforementioned characters, but even random citizens in New York City, and uses them as tools to distract Sonic from stopping him.
There is only one me.
"You hurt my feelings" is not an excuse for attempted genocide. And since 9 didn't really face any consequences to speak of for his actions, we're definitely going to give a tiny dose of justice in this list. That said, like everyone else, he's getting his clean slate after all. Let's hope he uses it for good. The Silver Medal of Evil goes to Dr. Eggman. Yeah, like Sonic's buddies, he's only seen in the first and last episodes, but he's as dastardly as ever. Not only is Eggman a cruel tyrant who's mean even to his own robots, he's willing to do anything to get what he wants, even if that means taking a mystical crystal that could potentially destroy the universe. There's truly only one thing worse than one Dr. Eggman, and surprising nobody at all, the Gold Medal of Evil has to go to the Chaos Council. We were hoping, praying even, that we'd be able to give the gold to someone else this time. To their limited credit, the council actually do help Sonic and company defeat 9 and save the universe from totally falling apart.
We never lose.
But unfortunately, any good points they'd have earned from that are taken away by the fact that they immediately double-cross them by taking the shard, and promptly end up fighting each other over who gets the most control of it. But the question you may have, which of the Chaos Council is the most evil? Well, it's gotta be Dr. Babel. And no, it's not for his sadism. It's for the fact that this little baby has an uncanny full set of teeth. Like, is anyone else unnerved by that? It can't just be us.